at the legal level,
Yeah.
I think you would have a hard time arguing that legally saying my body, my choice is equivalent to saying change your decision. So I don't know
David,
that this is the best path for us.
what would they be doing outside of the justices' homes before a decision comes out, after a leaked opinion?
Expressing their opinion. I mean, listen,
But
legally,
right,
I
their
don't think you're
opinion.
going to win on that. I don't think you're going to win on legally they were breaking the law because they said my body, my choice. It seems very weak.
No, David, they're not merely saying my body, my choice, and they're not merely posting some opinion online. They're going to the homes of these people. Actually, the group that sent them, it's called Ruth Sent Us, they said that this is an unacceptable attack on women and LGBT, and we need to force them, right? That was the key word. We need to force them to change their views.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I am having a very snowy day, and if you live in the northeast quadrant of the country, you are having a snowy day as well. Yet we have Mr. David Pakman, and he has joined Michael Knowles on his show to have a debate about protesting outside of the Supreme Court judges' houses. Now, this happened a couple years ago, but this is a good case in point of what I always say of how the left picks and chooses their points so that they can further their arguments, okay, while not adhering to any form of law whatsoever. So let's go ahead and let's have a look and see Mr. David Pakman as Michael Knowles shreds David Pakman's arguments in an epic debate.
I want to make sure that we're not just in an echo chamber here. We're not just talking to ourselves. So I'm bringing on someone who I suspect is more reasonable than Joe Biden. I hope he's more reasonable than Joe Biden. This would be David Pakman. David coming back to the show, nationally syndicated progressive talk show host on TV and radio. David, thank you for coming back to the show.
The first time went so well, I had to come back for seconds.
I knew it. That's why we invited you back. And listen, I was disheartened to see that Joe Biden and Jen Psaki would not condemn the protests at all hours outside of the justices' homes and residential neighborhoods before their families. I suspect, I mean this sincerely, I'm not being facetious at all. I suspect you are more reasonable than the staffers at the White House now. Can we at least agree this is bad? It is bad to protest outside of Supreme Court justices' homes?
Well,
okay, now remember, all right, David Pakman is a leftist. Now, of course, a little bit later in an interview, part we won't get to, he is going to say that he is neither a Democrat nor a Republican. He is, however, a leftist, okay? And as we all know, leftists, again, believe that they are righteous, okay? They are on the righteous path. They are ones that are doing the ultimate good. So therefore, anything that they do, okay, is therefore righteous. So again, every time he is going to talk about a point, okay, he is going to basically maneuver it in a way, okay, that it makes the cause righteous, okay, and thus just, all right? So just as long as we get that straight.
So I suspect you want to have a good faith conversation about this. Is that a fair assessment so we can speak freely here? You're not just looking to play gotcha here.
I'm not. No, I'm really
okay,
not.
All right,
That's not what we do on the show.
So let's see. This is not a protest technique I would employ, right? But I have a large platform online where I'm going to reach way more people than going to anybody's house. So like my personal thing is this is not a protest technique I would employ. Let's go through like legality, morality, ethics, etc.
Yep.
Okay, so again, we're starting off with the good old leftist of idea of I'm more reasonable than that. I would employ a different type of maneuver or action to get what I want. However, it always is followed by the ever so present but.
Anything that is a criminal act, like a Molotov cocktail, destruction of property, whatever, it should be reported. If there's a crime, people should be charged. If you can get a guilty verdict, they should be, sentenced. Fine, very, very good.
Yep.
In terms of the speech aspect of this, there's this case from the 90s, Madsen v. Women's Health Center, which found that it's okay for anti-choice protesters to go and protest outside the homes of just random workers at abortion clinics. Okay, now that's not my opinion. That's a decision that exists.
Yep.
Those are quite literally private citizens. They're just like medical workers, right? So if that's okay and we have a First Amendment, certainly showing up and protesting isn't against the law. Are you and I on the same page about that piece?
No, because in the U.S. Code, 18 U.S. Code Section 1507, the federal law, explicitly prohibits protesting outside of the homes of judges with the intention of influencing their decisions.
Okay, now this is where the tap dance is going to start, okay? Because David Pakman is going to find every chink in the conversation that he can in order to justify these people, in all actuality, breaking federal law. Now, of course, we do realize that in some cases, this is in some areas in Virginia, it could be some areas of D.C., and it is very hard to get somebody protesting in that way arrested and actually tried on that offense and convicted. It is very, very, very hard to do so. They basically end up taking these people into custody and then just letting them go after that. So again, this is where David Pakman's coming from.
So if
the
they were,
decision has been done, though.
No, it hasn't. The decision hasn't come out. There was a leaked draft of the opinion. So I would agree with you. It's not clear that they were in violation of the law if the decision had already come out and they were just expressing their anger. But because the decision has not come out, because it seems clear to me that the protesters are trying to change the course of how this decision is going to come and try to bring political pressure, to me it seems quite clear this is a violation of federal law.
No lawyer I've spoken to says that this is against any law unless some specific, if there even something as relatively benign as a noise ordinance, let's say there's a noise ordinance that starts at 10 p.m. Yep. If it's 11 and you're being loud, okay, now we have something to talk about. But that's not the law that I'm who says there's any law being broken here.
That is the law. I mean, the viewers are free to go check it out. But that is a very specific law. There's actually a Virginia statute too. But I'm just talking about the federal law. 18 U.S.C. 1507. You can look it up. Now, you might say, well, I don't like that law. I don't think it's just. I think it's a violation.
It's applicable here. I just don't think it's applicable at the homes of these individuals in Virginia, based on lawyers I've spoken to. Neither you or I are lawyers, so we may just be.
But I can read the law.
Further.
The statute is plain.
It's always one of those things that you have to be a lawyer. Now, if somebody was a lawyer that was sitting there, it would be something else. Okay, because again, this is how the left argues.
Are you saying that you don't think that the protesters are seeking to influence the decision?
I haven't spoken to them, so I really can't say. But
you can hear what they're saying, right?
What's that?
You can hear the sort of things that they're chanting. They're not saying.
I actually have not heard what they're chanting. I have not. Okay. I don't know what are they chanting? You tell me.
They're chanting "My body, my choice." They're chanting,
"My body, my choice" isn't change the decision.
Of course it is.
That's just their opinion, right? My body, my choice.
They're chanting in support of the ruling that will be overruled by the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case.
Listen, I think that if we want to get into the minutia of this at the legal level, I think you would have a hard time arguing that legally saying "my body, my choice" is equivalent to saying "change your decision." So I don't know.
David,
that this is the best path
what would they be doing outside of the justices' homes before a decision comes out, after a leaked opinion?
Expressing their opinion. I mean, listen, legally, I don't think you're going to win on that. I don't think you're going to win on legally they were breaking the law because they said "my body, my choice." It seems
you probably weren't going to win on it because it would be in a D.C. or a Northern Virginia court. That's probably why they wouldn't win the case. Let's just get that straight.
Very weak.
No, David, they're not merely saying "my body, my choice," and they're not merely posting some opinion online. They're going to the homes of these people. Actually, the group that sent them, it's called Ruth Sent Us, they said that this is an unacceptable attack on women and LGBT, and we need to force them, right? That was the key word. We need to force them to change their views using a diversity of tactics. And we would acknowledge that peaceful protesting is just one tactic, so it seems like they're calling for other things. But even that word force, what does that word force mean?
Now you're blending, now you're saying, well, they've used peaceful protesting, but they're calling for other things.
No, but
so they've broken.
That isn't my problem. No. I mean, I think that is a separate issue. But the very fact that the organization that sent, I'm sorry.
But you introduced it in this conversation.
That's a problem as well, that they're calling for a diversity of tactics. But the chief problem that we're discussing here is that the organization that is taking responsibility for sending the mobs to the justices' homes says we need to force them to change their minds. We need to force them to not attack women and LGBT and all of the other minority groups that they're discussing. So even the word force would suggest to me that they are attempting to influence the decision and therefore are in violation of this law.
Yeah, I'm not trying to skirt the main point you're trying to make, which I am unsure I can identify, but I haven't seen that specifically said, so it's just hard for me to comment on it. What I
Okay.
think
All
what I
right.
can
You're
speak
pleading.
to
You're
is,
pleading ignorance on this point.
no,
But-
I'm not pleading ignorance. What I can
Well, see, that's exactly what he's doing. He's pleading ignorance. He just said, I have not heard them say that, so I can't speak on this. That is pleading ignorance on a subject. I really hate to tell you. But again, as I said before, this is how the left presents itself.
speak to is, if any crime has been committed, charge them.
Okay.
I'm totally
Okay.
with that. I'm totally with that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So there you go. And, to his credit, David Pakman did say, if they have broken a law, then try them for that, or arrest them for that and try them for that. And that is very noble and it's very laudable. But the problem is that he damn well knows that in those jurisdictions that these people would never see any type of justice whatsoever, even if they did break a federal law. And from what I can remember of that time period a couple of years back, I don't think anybody was really arrested for that. Hit me up in the comments like that if people were actually arrested and tried for breaking that federal law. Let me know. But again, this is why I'm here. This is what I do. Okay. I'm pointing out all this stuff because it's always the demons are in the details with these guys. They always fight with the shades of gray. They're always trying to find a way to change the subject matter or change the definition, change the nuance, and therefore maneuver it into a way that, again, they are justified in doing what they're doing because, again, their cause is righteous. So thank you all very much for joining me today, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button for when I do this again. And as always, hit me up with those comments. I've been getting inundated with some David Pakman fans. And guess what? They're all telling me I'm full of shit. And you know what? Keep them coming, guys. I love it. So again, see you all later. Did I just say later? I'm going to do this all the time. Later.